In a remote Egyptian village, 5 sisters began to exhibit strengths that no human should possess.
This isn't a Hollywood movie. This was captured on national television, and it terrified an entire nation. They weren't just thick. They were speaking in voices not their own, crawling on walls and screaming in agony. Is it a rare psychological phenomenon? Or have they encountered a jinn, an ancient desert entity? Today, we dive deep into the haunting case of the Sisters of Tanta. Warning, the footage is disturbing. Our story begins in Mit El Haroun, a village where everyone knows everyone, until the silence was broken.
The 5 sisters, young, healthy, and normal, suddenly transformed into something unrecognizable.
It started with one. Then, like a dark virus, it spread to the other 4 sisters simultaneously. Family members claimed it all started after a strange object was found buried near the house.
The sisters began to experience horrific nightmares of shadows standing at the foot of their beds.
Within days, the nightmares became their reality. They stopped eating, stopped sleeping, and stopped speaking. Then came the episodes. Sudden, violent outbursts that would leave the house in shambles.
Witnesses said the girls would crawl on all 4s, moving with a speed that didn't seem human.
Their eyes would roll back, showing only the whites, as they growled at anyone who approached. The local doctors were baffled. Physical exams showed nothing wrong, yet the girls were fading away.
Word spread fast. The village was terrified, believing the house was cursed by an ancient jinn.
That's when the national media stepped in. They wanted to prove it was all a hoax.
Reham, a journalist known for her fearlessness, arrived with a full technical crew. She expected to find a family looking for fame. Instead, she found a living nightmare.
The moment the cameras entered the room, the energy changed. Batteries began to drain instantly. The sisters were huddled in a corner, whispering in a language no one could understand.
Suddenly, the eldest sister stood up. Her gaze was fixed on the camera with pure malice.
She didn't look like a girl anymore. She looked like a vessel for something much older. To deal with what they believed was possession, a spiritual healer was called to the scene.
He began to recite ancient protective verses. The reaction from the sisters was instantaneous and violent.
They began to scream in unison, a sound so piercing it broke the audio equipment. The healer claimed he was not fighting 5 girls, but a single, powerful tribe of jinn.
One girl started hitting her head against the concrete floor. Blood was drawn, but she didn't stop.
The crew was frozen in fear. This wasn't supposed to happen on live television.
The healer insisted that the girls had accidentally invited something in by practicing dark magic.
In the Middle East, the jinn are not ghosts. They are sentient beings made of smokeless fire. And according to the healer, these sisters had offended a very high-ranking jinn king.
As the night went on, the fires started. Small flames appearing out of nowhere on the curtains.
The smell of sulfur filled the room. The cameras captured smoke with no visible source.
One sister began to chant names of people who had been dead for over 100 years. She revealed secrets about the camera crew that no stranger could possibly know.
Panic broke out. Half the crew wanted to leave, but the journalist insisted on staying. They moved the sisters to a local mosque, hoping the sacred ground would break the hold.
But as they crossed the threshold, the girls collapsed, as if hit by an invisible force.
It was clear. Whatever was inside them was not going to leave without a fight.
While the village believed in spirits, the world of science had a different explanation. Psychologists called it mass hysteria or mass psychogenic illness. This happens when extreme stress causes a group to mimic each other's physical symptoms.
But can science explain the superhuman strength of a 40-kilogram girl? It took 4 grown men to hold down the youngest sister during the spiritual cleaning.
And what about the fires? Science struggles to explain spontaneous combustion in multiple rooms.
The case became a national debate. Religion versus science. Faith versus logic. Millions watched the footage, trying to find a trick, a wire, or a sign of acting. But the fear in the sisters' eyes was real. The pain in their voices was undeniable. As the weeks passed, the girls' condition didn't improve with medication.
They were losing weight rapidly. Their skin turned a pale, sickly gray color.
The family was desperate. They had spent every penny on doctors and healers alike.
In the dark corners of the internet, theories began to emerge about a local curse.
Some said the village was built on an ancient burial ground that shouldn't have been disturbed.
Others believed the sisters had found an amulet that served as a gateway for the jinn.
Every time they tried to destroy the object, someone in the family would fall mysteriously ill. The atmosphere in the house was described as suffocating by anyone who dared to enter.
The journalist, Reham Saeed, later admitted that she had nightmares for months after the shoot.
She felt as if something had followed her home from that village.
This is the shadow effect, often reported by those who document real-life hauntings.
One night, the sisters all stopped screaming at the exact same second. The silence was deafening. They stood up, walked to the center of the room, and stared directly into the camera lens. In a distorted, unified voice, they said a single sentence that was later censored from TV. They claimed that they were no longer the daughters of this family. They belonged to the fire.
The spiritual healer made one last attempt, using a ritual that lasted for 12 straight hours.
By sunrise, the sisters finally fell into a deep, death-like sleep.
When they woke up, they claimed to have no memory of the last 3 months. The possession had ended as quickly as it had begun, leaving only scars and questions.
But the village of Mit El Haroun was never the same. People still avoid that house at night.
The sisters moved away, trying to start new lives under different names.
But can you ever truly run away from something that lived inside your own blood?
The footage remains one of the most analyzed paranormal videos in Middle Eastern history. Skeptics say it was a masterpiece of social acting and psychological breakdown. Believers say it is the ultimate proof that we are not alone in this world, that there are entities older than humanity, watching us from the shadows of the desert.
So I ask you, if 5 people experience the same nightmare at once, is it still a dream?
Or is it a reality that our modern science is simply too afraid to acknowledge?
What do you think happened in that room? Mass hysteria? Or a true encounter with the jinn? Let me know your theories in the comments below. I read every single one of them. I am Mr. Esla, and this has been Gothic Horror Chronicles. Sleep tight if you can.